China has faced issues with the environment since dynastic rule. Leaders have often exploited natural resources in ways that have contributed to famines and other types of natural disasters. During Mao's regime, the country was still primarily agricultural, and the five-year plans often overestimated production levels. This led to over-farming and land misuse, causing degradation of natural resources and unsafe pesticide runoff into waterways. In addition, China began to engage in major infrastructure projects to support agriculture. In 1 year alone, 600,000 backyard factories were built to improve output. This further increased emissions of greenhouse gases and other chemicals. After Tiananmen Square in 1989, more economic freedom was granted to Chinese citizens. This resulted in rapid expansion of industrialization. When coupled with the creation of specialized economic zones, cities and skylines seemingly built themselves overnight, creating more and more air pollution from increased energy consumption and use of modern technology, like cars. While efforts have been made to curb the issue with things like the environmental protection laws and air pollution and quality control law, they are not enforced, allowing the problem to continuously grow.
This brings us to China today. China is the world's largest emitter of greenhouse gases and is responsible for roughly 30% of global emissions. China accounts for 50% of global coal consumption, and in 2014 alone, there were 17 million new cars on the road. In 80% of the municipalities in China, the air quality is unsafe, in some areas to the point where schools and businesses have to shut down. It is becoming increasingly clear that China's future success economically, culturally, and socially is dependent upon environmental improvement. Currently, China has seen a drastic decrease in nitrogen dioxide emissions from industries and factories. In eastern and central China, there's been up to a 30% decrease in emissions compared to recent years, which may be due to Chinese manufacturers' attempts to contain coronavirus. Although the central government issues fairly strict environmental regulations, implementation is left primarily to local and state governments, which often care much more about economic progress than environmental protection. However, rising environmental protests in China have forced the government to pay more attention to the issue, leading to stricter regulations, including canceling some subsidies for polluting industries, while others have been shut down. Yet there are still some environmental shortcomings.
With 35 to 40% declines of toxic fine particles in the past 4 years, it is clear China has moved towards a more sustainable future by trying to balance industrial growth and environmental protection. In 2012, China passed its fully amended ambient air quality standards. Studies have indicated that the current Chinese standards are sufficient in mitigating the excess mortality and health risks from short-term exposure to pollution. In 2013, the State Council issued the Air Pollution Prevention and Control Action Plan under the party's War Against Pollution campaign, which aimed to tackle pollution by 1. Reducing coal consumption by increasing energy efficiency, 2. Financing low-emission capital and machinery, and 3. Supporting green emerging industries such as solar and wind power. China has made similar strides in relation to water pollution. However, many rural areas lack the infrastructure necessary to treat their water, resulting in a third of waters being well below the standard level. More recently, and surprisingly, NASA and the European Space Agency credited the recent plummet in pollution levels to the quarantine due to the coronavirus. Pollution in China has been on a sharp decline, but there is still room for more improvement.
China must continue to fight back against pollution and prioritize the environment over the economy. China can build a green future.